road to the promised land is reserved for a rare few, and the Western Bulldogs wrote their own exciting chapter, their second premiership, their first in 62 years. And what a performance it was. Everything went well. It was a great year. Bob, what was your immediate thought the moment the siren sounded on the bench?
I don't think there's words to describe exactly what we all felt, but I just think we were starting to get a sense of just the enormity of what it meant to all of us, to the thousands and thousands of supporters we have out there, and the pain of 62 years was starting to fade away.
What did it feel like when Bevo called you up and gave you his premiership medal?
It was a pretty emotional day up until that point. It's a really hard one to describe. Totally unexpected. It speaks a lot about Luke and the man that he is. I know I'm not a premiership player. But I know what the gesture was. I go in that with my eyes open. But it was a really nice moment that I'll forever be grateful for him.
Sydney Swans, great players, have been deserved grand final combatants this year. Lance Franklin goes off early in the opening quarter with an ankle injury. Did you feel that impacted the Swans, Kingy?
Oh, as a coaching group, we weren't sure. We knew he'd came off a couple of times, and someone mentioned he'd been downstairs. We thought, then we looked back in the vision, saw he rolled his ankle, but we knew Buddy wasn't not going to go out with the fight, so we knew the threat was still there, and we had a handful, right up until a couple of minutes left in the last quarter, but up until half-time, there's certainly some significant challenges for us as a group, especially around the ball, that we had to try and curtail to get the result.
She's a tough place to go and find a football, isn't it? Grand final day, Kerrin Jack and Eastern Wood.
Yeah, that's the situation that keeps footballers up at night. The ball that's yours and is just fading away from you, and you know that something's coming the other way. Kerrin Jack's as tough as they come. I don't think there's been a better mark taken on grand final day than that one.
A lot of pressure on Tom Boyd, a lot of speculation, a lot of criticism directed from him from outside the football club. Early stages, opening quarter, everybody makes mistakes, but that wasn't a reflection of how his game ended, Kingy.
No, certainly not. Tom's final series was huge, really. We saw him, step from a boy to a man, and the week before, you saw him ruck against Mumford single-handedly, got us across the line, and to see him bounce back from that drop mark, I think there was a lot of errors early, but I think take 6 contested marks for the game, and he split his time between the forward line and the ruck, and be that presence. It was almost Norm Smith a medal winning really. It's a credit to Tom. The burden he's carried, I think, throughout his career, being a #1 draft pick, and obviously, the contract that he's on. But to see him step up, it was worth its weight in gold, and we're so proud of him the way he's handled that adversity.
I felt the only time watching the game at the ground, Murph, the only time Sydney had real momentum was in the second quarter when they were winning the stoppages, and no one was doing a better job than Josh Kennedy.
Josh Kennedy, he's the archetypal big midfielder, but he looked like Goliath in the second quarter. He was such a huge influence. He was doing it at the centre bounce and then pushing forward and to hurt us on the scoreboard. At half-time he was the best player on the ground by a long, long way.
Did you feel, Kingy, that you could correct things around the stoppages off the back of what Sydney did in that second term to help you in the third and fourth quarters? Yeah,
there's a lot of improvement left, I thought, around the ball to be sort of outplayed around the footy. As Kennedy had 20 touches and 2 goals to half-time, it would only be 2 points down. I told the midfield group that's a real positive for us. We need to put more time into Kennedy, but also we actually have to work a bit harder. They were actually beating us contest to contest, and their spread was really good. But the strength of ours, the mid-group, I think, was weight of numbers. We've got a lot of players that we roll through the midfield, and I think that eventually got on top of Sydney around the ball, and just gave us a different look. We put Pico in the middle, put Josh Dunkley to a wing, just little changes like that actually helped give us a bit more spark around the footy.
There's always key moments in a grand final, and certainly from a Sydney point of view, there was one early in the fourth quarter which involved Eastern Wood and Dan Hanbury. We'll have a look at the vision there, but from a Sydney point of view, he was a key player that unfortunately was off the ground and impacted once he came back on, Bob.
Yeah, and in that fourth quarter, it did feel like we were getting control of the game. But Sydney, because they're a champion side, you could see their gun players and Dan Hanbury being right at the top of that list really start to take it up a notch, and he's probably their best runner. It was a huge contest. You never like to see a player player get hurt, but it definitely made it harder for Sydney with Dan hurting himself in that way.
Billy Picken is a famous Collingwood player. He played in 5 grand finals, didn't get a premiership medallion. His son has now etched his own name as a premiership player. Liam Picken's performance grand final day, but also his finals performances were outstanding, Kingy.
Yeah, he won our best finals player for the year, and credit to Pico, the way he's turned his career around from a tagger to come now and be a midfielder / marking threat forward of the ball. His commitment to every contest is a benchmark for our footy club, and he's actually got the talent and skill now, as you see now, taking the ball in the air, kicking goals when he gets his hands on the footy. He's the barometer for us. He doesn't say too much, but geez, the boys look up to him and respect him so much.
Doesn't have to when he's putting in performances like that consistently. We spoke about Tommy Boyd being relegated down to the reserve. Same thing happened to Jakey Stringer. He's a mercurial type of player, but a little bit wayward early on, but kicked an important goal during this match.
Yeah, it probably didn't go the way he thought it might for the whole day, but when his moment came, he took it with both hands, and it was with a couple of Sydney players hanging off him to get a leg to it and to get it some momentum for us again was another one of those pivotal moments that you need to get you over the line in a big grand final.
And obviously that vision is slowed down, but he had very little time to get that in his hands and to his boots. So a terrific goal from Jakey Stringer. Kingy, you've played with greats. Ablett, Bartel, Selwood, Murph, you've played with greats of past eras. I want you both, as we watch some vision, to talk about Marcus Bontempelli, 20 years of age, so mature beyond his young years, and his contribution, not only grand final day, but what he's done for this football club.
He came to our footy club when we needed him most, because you guys are lucky enough, as we are, to watch what he can do on the field, and he's a player that he plays the way in which we probably would all like to play the game. He's incredibly balanced, attacks, defends. He's great to play with. But it's the influence he has in the locker room, in meetings. He is that sort of Ferris Bueller. He's loved by everyone. We're yet to find a sort of chink in his armour. We're searching, but none as yet.
Kingy?
Yeah, he's incredibly humble, but hungry as well. I think he wants to play the game the right way. He wants his teammates to benefit as much as he does. He wants the club to succeed. He loves the club, and as a coach, that's all you want is your best players or perceived best players to be real role models with the way they love their footy, the way they work. He's one of the hardest workers at the club. The amount of time he puts into his game, it's no surprise that he's gotten to the heights of his career so early on in his career. And just for me, the humility he displays, I think his teammates really appreciate it, and all he cares about is us as a team succeeding, and that just comes through the rest of the playing group.
Well, as we said at the beginning of the show, the Western Bulldogs 2 years ago had lost their captain, had lost their coach, and had paid a significant amount of money to Tommy Boyd. Tommy Boyd went from a talented young man on grand final day to a man that belongs in the AFL at the elite level.
It was there was a lot of big moments and things that happened on the field that day that could make your heart sing. I don't know if there was a better moment than when Tommy launched one from outside 50 after Dale Morris ran down Buddy and it bounced through. I think that was significant for lots of reasons, but Tom's a fine young man who's had a difficult start to his AFL career under the most intense spotlight I think anyone's ever been under, and to play the game of his life when his club needed it most can only make you proud, can't it?
No arguments here, Bob. Kingy?
No, I think, and to do it in the most combative position as a key forward or a ruckman, playing against the biggest of men every week, to see him come out of his own, really, and start maturing to that player. You forget he's only just turned 21, which really is quite exciting.
Talking about exciting, it's a beautiful way of describing the man that was awarded the Norm Smith medalist, the dasher, the darer, the man with electrifying speed, Jason Johannisen. Great performance.
Oh, he was incredible, and he gave us so much run. It was constant. That those running halfbacks, it's not the easiest thing to do. People might think it's easy to break the lines and get on the end of it, but he was able just to keep pumping the ball forward, involving his teammates. He was a very worthy Norm Smith medalist. Doesn't get much better than that, does it?
No, it doesn't. And let's not forget the fact that he suffered a significant hamstring injury. So to come back from the injury, kick the winning goal against the Sydney Swans in the home and away, and then ends up with a Norm Smith medal and a premiership medal.
Yeah, it's extraordinary effort, and for JJ, his growth over the last 2 years, to see him, I think, grow his game in the contest defensively, but also give us that spark in our bounce, which is really our point of difference as a footy club. He's a key driver with that, and to see him get that reward. He's still so humble as well. That it's just incredible that he's a Norm Smith medalist. It's a fantastic story.
Well, you've got your second premiership. This thing will never disappear. The history books will always have in 2016 the Western Bulldogs were the AFL premiers. 2017 beckons, not far away from starting again. You have a big X on your back now as a club, as players, as coaches. What is the Western Bulldogs? What do they need to do in order to improve, in order to meet the challenges that you will get every single week next year?
I think it's and there's people a lot smarter than me in positions of more power about things or people or what we need, but as players and what I would ask as a leader of the players for the whole club is to have that attitude of what's next, what can we do, the optimistic, that the spirit of this team and the club has been that question mark of, well, how good could we be? What's next? The sky's the limit. Oh, that's what you have to bring, and that's ever changing, ever evolving. But can't wait.
Kingy?
Yeah, for me, there were so many great players and great people that missed out in being part of that 22. That I think the hunger and the drive is going to come from those guys coming back, wanting a piece of that. And I'm just really looking forward to seeing, with a clean bill of health, where we can take our game as a footy club next year.
Well, to both of you, unlucky in some regard, but wonderful in another regard. The 2016 AFL Premiers, the Western Bulldogs. Congratulations to you both, and we look forward to seeing what your club, your players, your coaches, your supporters can achieve next year. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks, Schwass.
Thanks, Schwass.
They dared to dream. It was a dream that many thought was impossible, but the Western Bulldogs, from 7th position going into the finals, made 2016 the year of the dog. Thanks very much for joining us. 2016 Western Bulldogs Highlight Season Show. Let's reflect on what a remarkable year it was.
I'd like to get Bob Murphy up on the stand. This is yours, mate. You deserve it more than anyone.
62 years. Call it. And just... I can't go on, McCoy. Come on, Dad.
History made at the MCG. This unbelievable Western Bulldogs outfit. 55 years out of the big dance. 62 years since they've won a premiership. They've achieved all that and more in one of the great finals camps.